Hello, folks, and welcome back to Chris Wyatt. This is Chris in Central Pennsylvania. Earlier today, the 2nd of March, after 1 week of conflict in the Ukraine, after Russia under President Vladimir Putin invaded neighboring Ukraine without any justifiable cause, despite his claims to the contrary, the United Nations General Assembly today voted on a resolution to condemn Russia's invasion of the Ukraine 1 week after it began. Now, to be fair to the United Nations, the General Assembly is doing this today, but the Security Council, whose resolutions are binding on members, met as the invasion was underway in the dead of night. Last week, late Wednesday night, early Thursday morning, they met to discuss and debate this topic, condemning it. But unfortunately, no resolution came out of it, of course, because Russia is a permanent veto member of the council, as well as China, and therefore nothing came of it, but it was debated last week. Earlier today, the United Nations General Assembly voted overwhelmingly against Russia's invasion of Ukraine in what is largely a symbolic rebuke to the Russian president and his supporters that is unlikely to alter the course of the war. United Nations members voted 141-5 to condemn President Vladimir Putin's special military operation in the Ukraine and to affirm that no territorial gains stemming from the use of force or threatened use of force will be recognized as legal in the Ukraine. Now, 34 countries, including China and India, abstained. Linda Thomas Greenfield, the United States ambassador to the United Nations, said, "Today we call on Russia to stop its unprovoked, unjustified, unconscionable war. We stand together in holding Russia accountable for its violations of international law and to address the horrific human rights and humanitarian crisis unfolding." Now, the thing here that we have to remember, of course, is that resolutions in the General Assembly are simply political virtue signaling. They send a message. There's no binding force on them. Now, the 15-member Security Council, including 5 permanent members with veto power, the United States, France, United Kingdom, China, and Russia, does have binding results, but the Security Council is not voting because Russia will veto it. Now, to their great shame, 13 of the 30-plus abstentions in the United Nations General Assembly come from African states. The following African states bring shame to their nation and expose how beholden they are to Russia: Algeria, Burundi, the Central African Republic, Congo, Brazzaville, Equatorial Guinea, Madagascar, Mozambique, Namibia, South Africa, South Sudan, Uganda, Tanzania, and Zimbabwe. A total of 13 abstentions, over 1/3 of the countries that did not vote to censor and rebuke Russia. Now, this is horrific. I'll come back to that in just a moment. But breaking news tonight, President Joe Biden has hailed Wednesday's vote by the United Nations General Assembly, demanding an immediate halt to Moscow's attack on Ukraine and the withdrawal of all Russian troops, saying it demonstrates the extent of global outrage at Russia's horrific assault on a sovereign nation. Of course, Joe Biden did nothing 9 months ago when Vladimir Putin moved 70,000 troops to the border with the Ukraine. And then just 3 months ago began ratcheting up the tension, threatening Russia, escalating the situation by deploying U.S. troops from Fort Bragg to the Baltics, or to Poland, I should say, and eventually to the Baltics later on from other places, and from Vilseck in Germany to Romania. 3,000 troops, speed bumps, but nonetheless upping the ante with the Russians. In a statement this evening, Biden said the UN vote recognizes that Russian President Vladimir Putin is attacking the very foundations of global peace and security and everything the United Nations stands for. Well, we can debate that. What has happened in Myanmar, Joe Biden? Where's your outrage there? What has happened in Chad, in Niger, in Mali, in Burkina Faso, in Ethiopia, all in the past year? Cabo Delgado province of Mozambique, the Central African Republic. Nothing, Joe. Back to this topic of Africa. Ladies and gentlemen, Algeria, a big energy producer. What do they need Russia for? First off, it is not something that costs you a great deal of political capital to vote in favor of rebuking Russia here. There are no consequences. It isn't binding, other than maybe the Russians have a long memory like an elephant. But Algeria, hardly a democratic state. Burundi, a state full of ethnic cleansing and internal sectarian violence endlessly over the past 20, 30 years. Central African Republic, a failed state. with constant violence and violations, and a place where Joseph Kony operates with impunity in the northeastern corner. Congo, hardly a democratic state. Equatorial Guinea, another non-democratic state. Madagascar, very disappointing to see Madagascar on this, not a traditionally leftist nation. Mozambique, hardly a surprise that the heirs to the revolution who were trained by the East Bloc will be beholden to the East Bloc in the 21st century. Namibia, a country basically run by Marxists, little Putins themselves, not a shock. South Sudan, this one is shocking to the core. The United States has poured billions and billions and billions of dollars into the development of South Sudan, only to see the South Sudanese turn on each other and destroy their country from within. And now they side with a tyrant. Make no mistake, folks, not voting, abstaining from a vote this easy that has no force of law or subjugation to the measure is an act of cowardice and a show of allegiance with the Russians. Uganda, Yoweri Museveni, very disappointing, but not surprising. Tanzania, another socialist-soaked state to its very core, one that under Julius Nyerere moved towards the east and collectivized and destroyed its agricultural sector and its industrial sector. Took decades to recognize that. Nyerere. And Zimbabwe, deeply in the pockets of socialists and communists the world over, propped up by China for decades and trained by Russia and China, the Soviet Union. 13 of 35 abstentions, folks. Unbelievable. I'm going to call out every single country on a roll call now who voted against this resolution. 5 of them, the usual suspects. Belarus, of course, an ally of the Democratic People's Republic of Korea. It's not democratic. It's not People's Republic. Eritrea, another leftist blood-soaked nation. And of course, the Russian Federation and the Syrian Arab Republic, reliably voting after Russian troops backed that government and kept it from collapsing. And then there were over 30 abstentions. And let me just run through the list globally with the shameful actors. Algeria, Armenia, that's a shocker, Bangladesh, Bolivia, Burundi, the Central African Republic, China, Congo, Cuba, El Salvador, Equatorial Guinea, India, Iran, not a surprise, Iraq, disappointing, Kazakhstan, not a surprise, Kyrgyzstan, not a surprise, Laos, Madagascar, Mali, surprise, Mongolia, Mozambique, Namibia, Nicaragua, Pakistan, Senegal, that's a huge disappointment, South Africa, South Sudan, Sri Lanka, Sudan, not a surprise, Uganda, Tanzania, Vietnam, and Zimbabwe. These are the actors who failed to vote for this measure to rebuke Russia, a measure that carries no weight. It's an easy vote if ever there was one. But obviously, these people are either in sympathy and agreement with Russia's assault on the Ukraine, or they feel they owe something to their overlords in Moscow. Whatever the case is, shame has befallen these nearly 40 countries in Africa and around the world who have voted to side with the aggressive Russian state. Folks, if you're not a subscriber, take a moment to come on, smash that button right down there. Become a subscriber. Be sure to leave a comment behind, a like if you don't mind. We appreciate your support for the channel. Once again, today, the 2nd of March, 2022, 141 countries vote to rebuke Russia, 5 reject and say no, and 30 plus abstain from voting. Cowards, one and all, including the South Africans. What a pathetic show of statesmanship at the UN General Assembly today. Thanks a lot, folks.